Hello and welcome to Thoughts in the Green Room with your host, Geoff Mays. This week, I'd like to talk about an actor's urban legend and how it can teach us to be better human beings during the COVID-19 crisis. So I want to start things off by sharing a story with you that I heard many years ago. It's the story of a young, starving actor who was stuck in the rut, and because of the rut had no means to advance themselves as an artist. They had a job which paid their bills, barely, 9 to 5, some flexibility to get to their auditions. They were doing auditions, barely. I say barely because they didn't have much time and had to turn many auditions down because of the confines of their day job, so it was audition or day job to pay the bills. But in addition to having the limited number of auditions they were getting, they also had the challenge of the stress and the weight of being an artist stuck in a rut that they didn't see any way out of. And they carried that stress, that desperation into the casting rooms, which completely reads on the camera. And as a result, they weren't booking anything because, well, they were reading as a desperate actor who really needed to get a job. And finally, given everything else, they couldn't find another way to break this rut because they couldn't afford to take any acting classes. And this all accumulated together to leave this young artist in a position of lacking hope, lacking joy, lacking creative freedom, and overall the lack and ability to see the possibility of achieving their dreams. Now, the one thing that did happen for this young starving artist was through various channels and means and some dedicated work, they were able to secure a face-to-face, one-on-one audience with a very revered actor. Somebody who had achieved the pinnacle of their acting career and fame, was well recognized, and for whatever reason, for however they managed this young starving artist secured a dinner with this revered actor. So the day came, the young starving artist met at the appointed time, the appointed restaurant, and sat down with the revered actor, and they talked. Over the course of 3.5 hours of a very good meal and very great conversation, these two actors discussed what it is to be an actor. They discussed what it is to be an artist, how the revered actor and artist had achieved their level of success, what they had done to get through their struggles and push forward to the level that they were at. They discussed the challenges which the young artist faced, why they were starving, the rut they were stuck in, how they might break the rut, what obstacles could be opportunities, and back and forth the conversation went over that 3.5 hours and that beautiful meal. It was a very hopeful conversation for the young actor. And although they did not necessarily see any immediate means to get out of their situation, they at least had a renewed hope and some ideas that may facilitate them as time progressed. In payment for the revered actor's time and energy, the young starving artist reached across the table, of course, to pick up the check when it arrived, and the revered actor stopped them. He said, "This one is on me." Now, that seems more than enough, in my opinion, for a young actor without any seeming hope to sit with a revered actor and get that personal insight and to have a nice meal. But it didn't stop there. The revered actor, in addition to picking up the check and offering their time and energy, passed a very substantial check over to the starving artist. There were 2 stipulations for that check. The first was that the revered actor remained anonymous. The second was that when the starving artist had achieved a certain level of fame or a certain level of stature, that they could afford to do the same that was being done for them right now for themselves, that they in their position of stature would do the same for another young starving artist, and they would pay it forward. These stipulations were the same stipulations which that revered actor had received from another revered actor back in the day when they themselves were the starving artist. This was a pay it forward situation. Now, The check, as I said, was substantial. It amounted to the total of 3 years of income for the starving artist. And those 3 years of freedom allowed that actor to quit the day job, rearrange things so they could focus on their career, put in time in acting classes, and most of all, it reduced their level of stress and desperation so that when they went into the casting rooms, they started to read as a character versus a stressed out, desperate actor, and they started booking. The bookings became more frequent, the level of role started to increase, and so forth, until this young starving actor had achieved a certain level of wealth and fame for themselves, at which point they moved forward and paid it forward to another young starving actor and carried on this tradition. Now, this tradition speaks to the suggestion or the idea that within the Hollywood elite and some of the more reputable actors around the world, there is a class of actors who are sort of brought into it under the wing by the generosity of those already in place. This all in all put together, as far as I can tell, is an urban myth. I've done some research on it over the years because I heard this story many years ago. I've tried to substantiate it and find proof and evidence that this actually has happened, and I've found nothing to the nature. But regardless of this fact, that I can't prove this is a reality, that it remains an urban legend amongst the acting community, I think it's important to recognize what the value is in this story. This is a story of hope, that artists who struggle can overcome their struggles and they can achieve what it is they desire. They can have their dreams in their hands and live them out to their absolute fullest. And this in and to itself is more than enough for this urban legend to survive. I think it's a very powerful story that can create that inspiration and hope. It has value. But as you know, I take my green room thoughts and what I see from the actor, and I often challenge you, my audience, to apply these lessons into the day-to-day life. For those of you who aren't artists, I often draw a correlation and say there is no difference and you can use this information as well. Try to apply it with your family, your friends, your job. For actors, obviously applied in terms of the artistic pursuits. And I connect these stories, these ideas I have to that outside world, and currently the outside world is one of the COVID-19, where I think we are, as a global community, under lockdown. We're definitely under the crisis of pandemic. We don't have a solution for this yet, and there's no immediate end in sight. So we're all facing this level of crisis of living at home. And during this COVID-19 crisis, I've reflected and identified 3 levels of wealth that exist in the world right now. The first level of wealth are individuals who, through regular chains and pursuit of their dreams, pursuit of their work, pursuit of whatever, maybe it's old money, who knows, whatever it is, they have amassed monetary wealth. And as a result of the monetary wealth they have achieved in their lifetime, COVID-19 is not affecting them in terms of regular things such as paying for their bills and ensuring that there's food in the house and paying for their mortgage, etc., etc., etc. They are going to be fine. They have the means to carry them forward for a great length of time. The second level of wealth that I've identified are the pre-planners and the hoarders. I put them into the same group because the pre-planners thought about this early. The hoarders just got on the bandwagon fast enough. And those are the individuals who hit all the grocery stores and major stores early and hoarded supplies. The toilet paper crisis, which I kind of think is funny, but it is a reality. There are many people out there with masses and masses and masses amounts of toilet paper right now. So much so that they couldn't use it in their household within a 2-year period in some cases. It's crazy. But in addition to the toilet paper, we have individuals who have hoarded food, stockpiles of cans of this and cans of that, and they have great wealth in terms of resources at this point in time. The third level of wealth during the COVID-19 crisis are individuals like myself. I'm in an age category that is at a relatively moderate risk for catching the COVID-19 virus. I have a general level of health that maintains my immune system and further reduces that risk category. And due to being an able-bodied individual, have the opportunity to go out and, with proper precaution and care, be able to pick up what little bit I may need on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. I'm fortunate that way. I have not been locked down due to physical or age or poor health. So those three levels of wealth, monetary, resources, and general well-being, are the three things that I see right now that stand out in the world. Linking and thinking about this story of the revered actor who was once a starving artist himself, who received a gift from a revered actor, and then paying it forward to another young artist, and that young artist reaching a level of fame and paying it forward to another young artist. Thinking about that story and its tradition within the acting elite of the world, I thought about COVID-19. Those three levels of resources and wealth that exist during this crisis, you are all the revered actors right now. In some fashion, you have a level of stature which everybody else does not. There are people out there right now who are looking at their fridge, and because they were unable to get to the store to amass goods, they have nothing. Maybe they were a frontline worker who was saving somebody's life or helping to reduce the spread of the virus, and because of the double or triple shift they worked, they didn't have the time to get to the stores before they shut down, and they've got but one tin of chickpeas left. Who knows that story? But they don't necessarily have to be thoughtless people who thought, this is a nothing. They could have been people who were helping, and because they were helping, couldn't help themselves. Maybe, there is right now somebody who doesn't have the means to pay a bill. And because they can't apply for a mortgage relief, or because their bill company's not offering any breaks, or whatever it is, that lacking bill payment is going to cause them great distress. Maybe somebody won't be able to continue working from home because they can't use the internet, which is about to get cut off, because they're on reduced hours and they aren't making the same income. And then, of course, there's the elderly lady down the hall or down the street who is too ill, too frail to get out of the house, period, to help themselves. These three situations I've just outlined are all situations which those who are in a revered situation, who have the resources, we can help. And the connection here, if you haven't seen it already, is this is the time for anybody with resources to pay it forward and act as that revered actor for anybody who is currently the starving artist. The biggest value that I see in this urban legend amongst actors, this pay it forward urban legend that I love so much, that has inspired me many times, is that it not only offers inspiration and hope for me as an artist, but it also speaks to what it means, in my opinion at least, to be human. It speaks of humanity and that gift that we all have, the ability to connect with others, which as an artist I regularly try to do. So during this time of crisis called COVID-19, I look to everybody in the world who is watching this, who may share this with somebody else. And I ask you, if you are someone with resources in the position of a revered actor, now is the time to pay it forward so that we can all survive and get through this crisis. Those are your thoughts from the green room, and I am your host, Geoff Mays. I'll see you in one